Yeah, we'll
Pretty
just
much.
start it from the top.
Yeah.
Or
So
we can acknowledge it since we're starting late now, but whatever.
yeah. Well, let's try this one more time. We're live now. So yep. We're trying this again. I guess we had a false start. I'm not sure what's happening. We're gonna give it one more. We're gonna give it one more try, and if this doesn't work, then we'll call
We're
it
not
live.
sure what's happening. It's par for the course with these things. That's what's happening.
Hey, we're live.
The usual failure rate.
All right. Well, this time we'll start back with George. Then we left off with him. Well, I don't know, but yeah, 3D printer, go.
Okay, yeah, doing something a little bit different tonight. Instead of working from home and showing off 3D printed parts and working on models, 3D printed parts, by the way, update to the Zaku Lake. Tonight I'm here at Make It Labs in Nashua, New Hampshire, working on my 3D printer, which when it's done, I'll be able to do a lot more 3D printing. But right now, it's just.
We're gonna give it one more try, and if this doesn't work, then
Somebody got YouTube on?
Yeah, I just to set it off.
All right. So yeah, I'm mostly going to be working on the printer tonight, but a little later I might work on a master grade or something.
Cool. All right. And one more time, Chris.
What? One more time? What are you saying, sir? So I'm working on the KG6 Sleipnir, or however you want to say it, from Code of Kia. It's from the anime Noah Zero. I just finished priming a ton of parts. Right now, as of now, I have about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like 8 parts I gotta just finish working on, and then I can just start painting. Gonna do some salt chip weathering on it for this one. I've never done it before, so it should be fun to do.
And so, what did you do for that? The salt chipping.
I spray. I don't think I even did it for this one. For this one here, I did. I used. I think it was Gaia Iron or Super Iron, I think. And then hairspray, which was Tresemme hairspray, which worked pretty good. And then my color, I did orange. I'm using what is it? Fire orange from Plamo Color. Just getting rid of that, and Cowling color for the black. And then I just washed it off with a brush and warm water. I don't know, like it came off pretty easily with lacquer. I hear you should always use acrylics and enamels, and it worked fine.
Okay. And it was just the hairspray, and you went there and just brushed that off, right?
Yeah, like I did the shield in like 15 minutes.
Yeah.
So I mean, I don't know why you'd want to use acrylics then, if I could knock it out that fast.
Yeah. So you didn't spray the whole piece of hairspray. You just kind of give it like a few splatters here and there.
I mean, for these, I wasn't really careful. I just wanted to see how it would look, like the overall look. This is probably the orange I'm going with. Yeah, I mean, I sprayed these parts completely. I probably wouldn't do that when I get to the actual finished, like the real work. So, yeah, I mean, I might just decant it and just brush it on. I don't know. I'm gonna do some more testing.
All right. All right. We had Nate join us.
Yay, more people.
Nate, you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Give me a second to set up. I just got home.
All right. So I guess I'll show my work area then. Haven't really had kind of do much. Like I said, I'm trying to sell my house here, so I'm still kind of working on the same project here. Pretty much all I've been working on are these GP Gundams. Just replacing the hips and just gonna start like cleaning them up. You can see here there's really bad nub marks. This is one of the first ones I've built, so I'll be going through cleaning them up when I do get some free time here and there, and just doing some slight modifications for more flexibility. maybe I'll recast the bazooka for the 03 and have it like dual wield bazookas.
Yeah, best suit ever in space.
All right, Nate, you ready? So it looks like Nate there is getting his stuff ready. He's working on a master grade Xeon that he's did a lot of modifications to like the skirt part and to everywhere else too. But mostly to the skirt. There's a lot of pieces he's cut out. So let's see. Let's give him a few more minutes to get set up. Let's go over back to George.
Okay, so why don't I start with this? I kind of flashed it on the camera before, but you know, the same Zaku leg I've been showing for the last few sessions, but I added the upper leg so you can kind of see the final effect of the whole leg a little bit better. So that's up to about 20 hours printing time total now. Kind of the next step for that is designing the foot. Here, hold on a second, and I'll kick it into Blender. All right, so file open recent.
So that's your 160 scale, right?
Yeah, it is. Kind of the idea is, well, I mean, first off, my plan is to scratch build it in 1/100 scale. So I'm 3D printing it in other scales so that I don't, you know, finish one in 3D print and then lose my motivation to scratch build. But also the idea is, you know, just about any 3D printer, it's going to have those build lines and defects, and so printing in a larger scale hopefully means that those errors will be less significant. Just trying to find the foot parts that I'm working on. Maybe it's just in the regular. All right. Well, anyway, so I'm working on updating the foot parts so that they can be printable, and kind of the main challenge with that at the moment. Well, there's a couple of challenges. I don't think this is it. But one of the challenges, if you can see on this part, it's basically paper thin, and that's no good for 3D printing. It needs to have some volume to it, and it needs to be in an enclosed shape. Another problem is, let's see, pop out of there, pop into this, and
Damn.
I guess this one actually was updated for, yeah. The other problem was that these parts actually overlapped a little bit, and that's no good, obviously, because if I print the green part and print the gray part and then try to put them together and they were overlapping meshes, then they're not going to fit together in the end. So I've been updating this to make it a printable assembly, and also to add joints to it, because that's kind of where I'm going with this build. Is one of the things that I'm doing is, as I design these parts for 3D printing, I'm also including places to hide polycaps, so that once it all comes together, it has smooth joint action, kind of like the leg that I just showed. And kind of going back to the 3D printer thing, you know, I have a little presentation thing like on the 3D printer project, but I don't know. Should we go with that, or should we just skip it?
Well, let's see. Nate, you ready?
Yeah, maybe wait a little bit so that more people can join.
Sounds good. Ooh, it's picture in picture all the way down. All right.
So, how many hours did you have into the foot already?
Into
Designing it.
like design work, that I don't know, because I actually made that mesh. Like I originally made that mesh years ago, and I've just been updating it here and there, like over the years, kind of in parallel with my work on the scratch build. I'd say that I've probably put like 3 or 4 hours into it so far in terms of the current update. Well, maybe not that much, but I don't know, a couple hours into updating it for 3D printing. And at this point, uh, it's not quite where I need it to be yet. So there's probably a few more hours left to go before I'll have it in a reasonably printable part. And going back to the leg, you can see if I can aim the part properly this way. All right. Yeah, I mean it's just hollow in there basically, and the thrusters are just holes, and so there's also the whole internal of the leg that needs to be designed and printed, and then that needs to connect to the foot somehow. So I have a fair bit of figuring out to do on that as well.
Alright. And where are you at again? You're at
Yeah, right tonight instead of at home, I am at Make It Labs in Nashua, New Hampshire. It's the makerspace that I'm a member of. I do all my work on building the 3D printer, and it's also where I go to 3D print things because my printer's not working yet, and they have a couple printers here that I can use.
but what they're open all night or something?
Yeah, as a member, I get 24/7 access basically. Just
Nice.
I have to lock up when I leave. What usually happens is I'll work here late into the night when I come here, and then like around 3 a.m. I'll be like, okay, I really got to get going, and then I'll spend like I don't know an hour picking everything up that I took out and putting it back on the shelf, and then I'll have to go through the labs, turn off all the lights, turn down the heat, make sure the doors are locked, and all that crap, and just get home ungodly late at night. It sucks. I need to learn not to do that, basically.
That's pretty cool. And they have all the PCs and everything there for you, or you have to provide your own PC?
Well, I usually bring my laptop just because if I bring my laptop, I have all my software, all my data on it, rather than having to shuttle data across. So I mean, there's all kinds of PC stations here. Let's take a brief look around the clean space here. Yeah, I mean we're still getting moved into the new location here. Oh, and there's R2D2. Where's R2D2? Oh, over there. Yeah, one of our members is a droid builder, so he built that, and he kind of lives here for now. But yeah, this is a great new location that we got. We're still moving in, but it's much warmer than the old location, much more spacious. Just a great place and an exciting time to be a part of this space.
Very cool.
That's awesome.
All right, Nate, you ready?
I joined up basically to get access to the tools to work on my printer, but now that I'm a member, I don't think that I ever want to leave. I want to stay now.
Hey everyone. Apologize for being late, working late.
Yeah, what the hell? What's that all about? What the hell are you doing to us, man?
Working on the MG Xeon. I just recently kind of just put a thin layer of primer over it just to reveal the mistakes, which there were a lot of, especially with a lot of scribing that I did. Over here. Here's just kind of like the chest, torso area. I think since the last meeting I've done quite a bit to it. Like I've lifted this part up. Added some internals in here, did some panel line scribing, took out some parts of the armor, just kind of reveal the inner frame. Added the backpack, which I'm not done with yet. But mostly, I wanted. There's still a lot to do with it. Here's the skirt. So I wanted to put everything kind of together. I'm still going to do some more details on the parts that I've added, but I wanted to make sure that everything fit. So I kind of did a real quick test fit on it just to see if stuff was going to conflict with other areas. So that's kind of where I'm at. I'm cleaning it up now. But let's see, I'm also going to be working on putting the LEDs into all the thrusters and stuff. So I'll be drilling out all the holes here. Are you okay with that, Angel? If you need to cast one of these?
Yeah, I still want to cast one of those, but if I don't have time, that's fine. No problem.
Okay.
And the holes won't matter. But so you're gonna do 6 LEDs in those right there, or are you just gonna do 1?
6.
6. All right. And then one big one, and then the back ones there, or?
Yeah, one back one in here. And then of course the mono eye, and then I think that's about it.
How about like the chest area that has those like kind of down thrusters?
Oh yeah, it does. Huh. I'll have to look at that later. I kind of have a plan of where I'm going to run this stuff, but I didn't realize that. For a couple months that I've been working on it, I totally forgot about these. Oh, shit. There's a piece that just fell off. We're talking about these parts right here, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I had totally forgotten about them, so when I was looking at it and looking at like what I'm going to do with it, it totally didn't even have them on there. And then I forgot. I was like, oh, shit, what are these pegs for? And so I just put them on last minute. I don't think I'm going to do much of them, but you're right. I think they could use some LED work.
How about the fingers?
That was an idea, but then I was looking at the fingers. I think I'm just going to put the socket pins in them.
Okay.
Because I didn't see a way that I could put the lights in it, but I guess that's another challenge that I could probably undertake. God damn, I don't even have one of them with me.
Use fiber optics.
Do it.
In the other room. So I guess what I'm gonna do right now is I gotta finish cleaning these arm pieces and the shoulder pieces and shoulder armor. Haven't decided what I'm gonna do with these bad boys yet. I should have had a plan when I did this, to be honest, but I just kind of went for it. So.
Yeah, it's looking good so far. I like what you're doing with the skirt area, around the big heart-shaped thing. Pretty cool.
Thank you.
What about the head? Are you gonna plant anything different for the head?
I haven't even thought of it actually. Really, just that. How is it going to do the LEDs? I think it does deserve a kind of redesign, though. It kind of looks kind of, I don't know, janky.
Well, you redesigned everything else. You might as well do something with that.
Yeah, there's kind of like this fine line of what you want to do with it and still kind of maintain the integrity of the actual MS. I want people to be able to recognize that it's a Xeon and not just some bunch of kit bashed modded shit together. So
it's not gonna be that hard to tell it's a Xeon.
Has no legs.
And it's still gonna keep. It's still pretty much all there. It's
yeah.
It has some improvements.
Still a lot to do, and I got some free time, got some PTO coming, so I'm gonna put in a lot of work into this bad boy. So.
Cool. All right. Let's go over to let's see what Chris is up to. So you submine the pieces for seam lining and painting, or?
Yeah, almost everything is like the only ones I can't do are the shoulder and the thigh part because like the way this joint goes in, it has to be put in first. You can't like slip it in. So I mean everything else is ready to go. I'm just gonna probably paint the parts, fix the seam line, and then repaint for those parts. Right now I'm just going over for quality control to make sure everything is clean and things I missed. Like a lot of these like there were seams down this whole thing, so I had to, fill that, rescribe like chisel out the detail again.
Yeah.
And now I'm just like making sure that all the putty's clean. Huh?
Cool.
Right.
I think someone else is working with like a rotary tool or something.
Oh, I thought it was.
Damn, I used the silent one too, but it's not powerful. Sorry, guys.
It's all right.
All right, George. How long's your presentation?
It's like 13 slides or something. I didn't get any feedback from the YouTubes on whether there was interest in it. It's just a bit of information about like, why I went the direction I did with this project and kind of what's going on with it.
All right. Well, put your microphone down. I'll let you have the floor.
All right. Okay. So that thing need.
Bring your mic down so we can hear you better.
Sorry, dude. I keep forgetting that.
No problem.
All right. So this thing. Okay, so here it is, King Cheezbot, my 3D printer project. Yep. So a little bit of background on 3D printing technology. You know, the most common 3D printing technology for like hobbyist level stuff is what's called fused deposition modeling. Basically, just a machine moves a hot nozzle around and squirts plastic through it, and it creates layers and builds up the part that way. So it's nice because it's inexpensive and you can get large build volumes with it, and it's very accessible technology, but the quality generally isn't very good, and there are limits to what you can do to improve the quality. Kind of the main alternative I considered is called stereolithography, which it produces some really nice results. This is a print off a machine called the Form 1. Basically, it's liquid resin that's cured by a laser. The problems, of course, are it's expensive and it's messy. You know, after you print a part, you have to pull it out of the resin and wash it off and things like that. Build volume tends to be small, but you know, if you want to print something like high detail manipulators or something, it's pretty much the way to go at this point. At least as far as home machines, there's not a lot of other home machines that can touch that kind of quality. So I needed to decide which direction I was going to go with this, and this was kind of an ongoing decision for me, like whether the quality of 3D printing machines was good enough that I felt I could use it in the hobby, and that's a lot of what I'm trying to determine with all these experimental 3D prints that I'm doing, is kind of what I can do with it in terms of, you know, not just making set pieces or random objects, but actual model parts. Kind of the upshot is a lot of these designs that I'm building, at least, you know, they're anime style. They're not a lot of super detailed stuff for the most part. So FDM can do that, particularly in the larger scales where the build lines don't have as much impact. And there are cases where I want to do larger stuff. So you know, it kind of looked like I was going to go in the direction of, you know, build myself a big old FDM machine now, and then, you know, maybe go for SLA in the future. As far as the specific machine, you know, I wanted an open source machine, and there's like practical reasons for that. I mentioned that there's a couple 3D printers here at the labs, and one of the issues that we run into with those machines is, you know, they're a few years old. And because they're not open source machines, we are kind of stuck with what the manufacturer gave us as far as software is concerned. And in the case of the second machine, we're actually stuck with their filament, at least at the moment. So I wanted that kind of freedom to just use whatever slicer software I wanted, things like that. I wanted an enclosed rectangular build volume, and that's for heat management. When you're printing with ABS, it's sensitive to temperature changes, and a lot of machines, they have instead of like the X and Y axes on the print head like mine, they have one of those axes will be on the print bed. It'll slide back and forth, and that makes it harder to enclose. I wanted one motor per axis on like DeltaBot, for instance, so that if something went wrong, it would be easy to spot what was going on. And I kind of wanted a kit or a do-it-yourself project because I like doing this stuff. So I found this machine. It's called Hackerbot. Just found it on the RepRap wiki, and unfortunately, at the time that I found it, it was not available as a kit. It's available as a kit now, which would have been divine if I'd known that like a year and a half ago. I would have just ordered it, but instead I went through the whole process ordering the parts and whatever. But it had pretty much all the characteristics that I wanted in the machine. Rectangular. It has a lightweight print head and just kind of nice. And it has this aluminum T-slot construction, which is, if you see those grooves on the top of the machine, those are also on the frame in the back, and on my machine they're on the sides as well. And what that is basically, if you have a special nut that fits into that slot, then you can mount things to those rails. And having that ability appealed to me because I'm going to want to mount filament spools to this thing and things like that. So kind of got started on my project. I used the instructions, put together a parts list, and ordered the parts. And I joined Make It Labs so that I could work on it here. And like I said, that's been a great experience. Made a few changes from the original design. Have a little side-by-side here. You can see the height difference. I added 10 centimeters of height overall to the machine, and that also translates into 10 centimeters of build height. And R2D2 is in the background of the shot, whatever. Also maxed out the size of the heated build plate. It's 30 centimeters by 30 centimeters. Whereas Hackerbot, I don't know, I guess they couldn't source the parts for that, so their instructions are like, you can either have a 30 by 30 unheated build plate for PLA, or you can have like a 20 by 20 or 20 by 30 for ABS. But there's machines out there like Lulzbot that use 30 by 30, so I went with that. Also has easily removable double doors, and I decided to make it yellow. And that I made it yellow with this process called powder coating, which is like you electrify the metal part, and you electrify the powder, and you spray the electrified powder onto the electrified part, and electric charge draws them together, and then you stick them in an oven and you bake them. But that powder, being yellowy orange powder, it looks like mac and cheese basically. So that was kind of the origin of ye old Cheezbot. So one of the ongoing challenges has been the gantry. See an illustration of it up here. Basically there's these 6 rods, and they have to all move together. And so if you're not quite precise enough with their alignment, then the thing won't work right. And that's what I've been grappling with for a while, but I've just recently got it to a state where most of those issues are sorted out, which is pretty exciting. There's just a little bit about the extruders that I've these are 3D printed parts. They the little spindle on the motor drives the filament up through that fitting. That fitting pushes. That fitting connects to a hollow tube, and it pushes the filament through kind of like a bike cable. It's a system that it has advantages and disadvantages. One of the advantages is that it keeps the print head lightweight. which means that sometimes if a printhead is too heavy, you'll actually run into inertial effects while it's making corners, things like that. It'll have a little bit of wobble after it makes the turn. So a lightweight printhead allows the machine to go faster with less error. And just a bit about the electronics package. Needs a big old power supply to run those heating elements, especially the hot bed. Also a fair bit of power for the Raspberry Pi, which I'm using to interface this thing over the network. And kind of one of the recent additions is I added a front panel display for the Raspberry Pi. Initially, I was going to operate it just over the network, but just setting it up every time I would have to get an HDMI cable and find a monitor, and I just got tired of that. So I'm like, whatever, I'll just buy a little monitor and install it. So now it's got a front panel display. So kind of what's next? Now that XY is mostly sorted out, I got to work on the Z-axis and the print bed. Finalize the onboard software setup, install the heating elements, and then just mess around with it until it works right. And just a little bit about do-it-yourself. I mean, this whole project, for anyone who's followed it at all, it's been a fiasco, basically. It's been going on for a year and a half. It was way more expensive than I initially thought it was going to be. Don't do it yourself to try to save money, and that's, I kind of hoped going into this that I'd be able to save some money, but I also just wanted to build the machine myself. So that's had obvious disadvantages. Clem bought a printer like some time ago, and he's been printing parts for like the last 2 years while I've been working on a machine. But it's still exciting and a good time, and so build a machine if you want to build a machine, basically. So that's that.
Just think, if you didn't build a machine yourself, you would have never joined the makerspace.
Exactly, and I love this place, dude. We've got a Super Nintendo now and everything. Like in the old space, we didn't have a lot of space for those kinds of things, and I kind of didn't know if anybody was into like actual retro gaming as opposed to just like firing up an emulator. But in this place, we've actually got someone decided that in the new space we'd have some old TV and some game systems, and so I've been kind of helping cultivate the collection of games. It's been a good time. But yeah, this is yeah, like you say, great times here. So kind of what I'm up to right now. One of the things is a while back I screwed up. Go figure, right? But let me see if I can camera this camera. So like I said, we got the big old 24-volt power supply there, 5-volt for the Raspberry Pi, and then there's the Raspberry Pi itself, and the Rumba, which controls the motors and things like that. The big mistake that I made is I actually shorted out the 5-volt power supply, and there was smoke coming out and all kinds of excitement, and one of the things that it did is the Rumba board here. It's basically like a big Arduino with motor controllers on it, and as part of that, it's got a USB circuit, and that's the part that got fried. So the USB circuit is used for communications, and it's also used for loading new software onto the microcontroller. So at the moment, I can't update the software on the microcontroller, and that's what I need to fix by kind of circumventing that USB circuit. I can already communicate from the Raspberry Pi to the Rumba, but haven't been able to get the bootloader going to load software on.
Yeah.
Does that mean you'll have to buy another board?
No, what I'm doing is, you know, like I said, for communications, I'm bypassing the USB circuit.
Yeah.
For programming the new firmware onto the board, I'm using another Arduino to load code on by the in-circuit serial programming port. You know, Arduinos have a serial bootloader so that you can load code conveniently over USB.
Yeah.
But they also all have this little 6-pin port, which is kind of the native way of writing new program code directly to the microcontroller. And that's also what you would need to use if you needed to replace your bootloader, for instance, which may be what I need to do. I'm not real sure.
Alright, let's see what Nate's up to. So you work on the body there. What do you? Is that you're working on like a back booster or something?
No, I put on the shoulder armor just to see how it would have looked aesthetically, because the Xeon has a lot of curves, but also has a lot of straight lines, and the shoulder armor is very curvy, kind of straight line-ish. So I'm trying to think of what I'm going to do with it. And wanted to see how, because I opened this up here on the actual shoulder. Oops. Want to make sure that that was visible, because that would have sucked if I did all that work for nothing. So I'm just kind of looking at it, seeing what I want to do with it.
What'd you do to the shoulder part?
I just this is one whole piece here. It's kind of cut out line here, and so you can kind of see the inner frame underneath.
Okay. So you just kind of opened it up a little bit to see that.
Yeah.
Okay. And then you're gonna leave the upper part of the arm exposed too, right?
Yeah. I'm just trying to figure out how, because it does have like the little inner part here, how I'm going to do that. So it's probably going to be just like the skirt, where the skirt had the armor and then the inner part of it, so I'll just have to open up holes on both ends. But it's going to be a little bit more meticulous filing and stuff on it. See how it goes.
Yeah. Ah, shit. Alright, let's come back over to me. Alright, so I have this part here, this little, I guess it was a polycap part that I recasted. So what I'm going to do is going to try to get it right in there. So what I did with this other part is I sanded it down a lot. I sanded the nubs down, or the little connecting parts here and on the sides. Sanded it down so it's kind of circular. So I still got to do that. And then I'll have to come in here in the leg and dig a lot of that out of there. So let me see if I can get this to work as a head cam. How's that look, guys? I can't see when I'm shooting.
I see a jam jar.
See a jam jar? You see the leg now?
Yeah.
All right, cool. So I went ahead and separated that. I'm looking at the parts here, and I know I'm gonna have to clear off some space so I can get this right in here.
Definitely an underused gunpla tool, the jam jar.
That's where I put out my put my thinner there and soak my airbrush in it. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut this out here first to make room. Take my nippers, cut it out. Same thing with the other side. This side's a little more difficult. Dealing with a little bit more thicker plastic. So that'll take me a little while to get cut through, but and you get the idea what I'm trying to do here. Fit that in there. So I'll work on that. That way this can fit right in there like that. Probably have to sand that down a little bit too. But that'll connect the leg to the hip and should be good to go with that. Alright, Chris. So you just more cleaning up, right?
Yeah, I'm just like cleaning parts and putting them back together just to see how it all fits to make sure it all looks good. You know?
Yeah. That's a pretty important step right there, just to kind of go through all the parts and.
Yeah, like I know I'm gonna beat this thing up a little bit, but I still want the bait. I want it to look good beforehand. It's just a lot of people skip that. I think. I feel like a lot of people like to hide their mistakes with weathering.
Oh yeah.
And I think you should fix that afterwards. So yeah, I'm just going over each piece, double checking to make sure everything looks good.
Make sure it's a smooth surface and.
Yeah.
No
well, I mean, like, just a lot of these, a lot of the seams are just. I mean, I'm sure like you worked on Kotobukiya kits. The seams are pretty bad. So, like,
yeah, some of them can be really bad. Yeah.
Like there's one down this. I mean, I went crazy. I went heavy with the putty because I'm just tired of refilling it a bunch of times. There's a seam down here, and then I'm gonna have to chisel out that little indentation on each one. Shouldn't be too bad, but hopefully I'll have this together just to even show off what the kit looks like by the end of this broadcast.
Well, I don't know if we're gonna go for the full 2 hours because it's kind of slow here.
Yeah, I guess.
Where you at, George? Kitchen table?
Yeah, I keep pizza supplies here in the fridge, and there's usually beer and stuff for sharing. Right now I'm kind of defrosting some dough and otherwise just kind of taking a walk around and showing off the place. This is like our classroom / lounge space. There's our awesome old game stuff. This is where we keep the laser cutters. They're not set up yet, but we're going to have 3 of them set up, which incredibly useful tool, laser cutters. And here's our printers. So we got a Hackerbot, which is I don't know, reasonably good printer, but a little bit frustrating sometimes. All 3 of these printers, they're like vendor lock-in to some extent. This one's the 3D Touch. It's the one that I kind of use the most. It's like built like a frickin' tank, and you know, precision's not the best. The slicer's not real great, but it's been tuned in enough that it works pretty well. And this is kind of the newest one. It's a Cube Pro. This is the one that takes proprietary filament, unfortunately, but has better layer resolution than the 3D Touch.
Well, that place has everything.
Hmm?
That place has everything.
Yeah, it's pretty sweet. I mean, you know, I mean the place is always like changing, and as I said, we just moved into this new space, which is huge. This is our garage space. You know, and our old location, like the whole thing was about this big. You know, and most of it was like garage space, and then a part of it was sectioned off as like a room, and that was our clean space where most of the workstations were and stuff. But this new place, like basically the story, as I understand it, is the city had to do something with this property. Or they'd pay some penalty or lose access to something, or I don't know. So we have a pretty good relationship with the city, and so we arranged to lease the place for like the next 5 years or something. And it's amazing. It used to be like an Anderson window showroom place. But there's more offices over that way. Not much point going over there though, because there's nothing to see.
How are the fees for that?
High enough that for a long time I thought that I'd just never like be a Nashua is a fair distance from my home. It's like 45-minute drive or something. And the fee, it's like you can go cheap, which is like $40 a month. And that supposedly gets you more limited access, but they haven't really implemented that yet, as far as I know. But they may be implementing that now that we're in the new place. And I do $75 a month, which among other things gets me a shelf that I can put my printer on in between work sessions. So it's kind of pricey, but it's a real great place to be. So
oh yeah,
like I said, I don't want to give it up.
I wish there was one. I mean, there's a lot in Brooklyn. I wish there was one closer to me, man. I would join just for all the tools. Yeah, well, there's a fair number of them. I mean, I don't. No, I've looked. I live in the Bronx, so there's not a lot here. Yeah, otherwise, I would be all over that.
Yeah, there's a couple around. There's a couple that are closer to me. There's one in Framingham, Mass. that hasn't really come together yet. There's one I think in Somerville, but that one's like really expensive. There's one in Lowell, but that one, I don't know. It's a good place, but there were a few things when I was going into the 3D printer project that this place had, but Lowell didn't. Powder coating was one, and I needed a 3D printer. I needed access to a 3D printer, and all along that's been a little bit difficult. Up until we got the 3D Touch, it was a major problem, but on my printer project, there are some parts that are 3D printed. And so I needed a printer in order to make those parts. So for instance, all these little brackets mounted into the T slots. Those hold like all the panels on, basically the clear panels and stuff. And the print head up here is 3D printed, and the cable guides that I added recently are printed. So that was, Lowell at the time. I don't know if this has changed, but at the time they didn't really have any 3D printers for members to use. They had some that they were kind of working on, but weren't working too well. And then this place had at the time just the Makerbot, which is a nice printer, but it belongs to one of the members, and he didn't want people treating it too carelessly, which is quite a reasonable concern, because if you're not careful with a machine like that, you can damage it. So for a while it was like I could only use the printer if he was there at the same time, and that was a pain in the ass. But I definitely appreciated having access to that machine. And then finally we got the 3D Touch, and it was just like, take a class and then you can use the printer. And I'm like, I'll do that. And it's been much more convenient, because just pretty much any time I come up here I can 3D print something, whether it's a part of the machine or just a model part that I want to work on.
All right. Well, any of you guys any objections to cutting this short tonight?
I think that we've probably played it out for the most part.
Yeah. All right. Well, I threw it out there to see if anybody had any questions. So some people just ask about airbrushes and a good way to start. We're talking about the little master, the master brand airbrush and compressor kit.
I hate those things.
Yeah, I mean I've heard mixed reactions. I got one for a friend, and it's worked out pretty good. But it's nothing compared to like my Iwata that I have.
I think it's a quality control issue, because like my friend, I've heard great stories about him. Meanwhile, I got my friend one for his birthday, and it broke within a week. And I looked it over, and he wasn't doing anything wrong with it. It just broke, just from bad quality. But then you hear people who've been using them for years, and there's no problem with it. So I think it's just quality.
Yeah.
Control.
How about the compressor? Have you heard anything bad or good about the compressor?
I think the master compressor. I have a tank one.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I don't remember if it's by Master or not, but it's that generic one that's black and silver. I've had it for about a year and a half, 2 years now maybe, and it overheats after a while, but it's decent. It gets the job done.
Cool. All right. Let's see. There's a question. What's a good method to paint effect parts?
The what parts?
Effect parts.
Oh.
Are they clear or are they pre-colored?
Let's see. Mine keep coming out cloudy. The guy says.
Oh.
So I don't know. Are you airbrushing them or are you hand painting them? He's trying to do clear effect parts.
Maybe just go with lighter coats and more passes. Let it dry. Does it mean cloudy like it's too much and they're like?
Yeah. So he said it's coming out cloudy when he's airbrushing them. So what do you? I think he's not going heavy there. He's probably getting like a good light misting on it, but not going back with a lighter. With a heavier coat. I don't know what you guys think.
That could be it. I was saying maybe he's like spraying too much too fast also.
That could be it. Or he's just not cleared out his airbrush with any kind of paint.
Yeah.
Alright. Alright, well, hopefully that answers your question. Let's go around and just have everyone say some last words. Wait, he said, what's a good brand? Good brand of paint? I use mostly color clear paints when I'm doing effect parts.
Yeah. Or I'll use all clad sometimes.
Alclad was the hot metal colors, or?
Yeah, I like those more because they give you more control over the depth of color.
Mm. So yeah, I guess it all depends on which I guess everyone's experience. I myself haven't used the hot metal colors from Alclad, but Alclad 2 those come pre-thinned, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, or if you're like really give just to me acrylics a try. Like we have clear versions of those paint as well. Alright, Chris, you got anything to say? End the night.
Gunpla is not freedom.
I think Cheezbot wants to say bye.
Yeah, I got to mute him for right now. We'll go over back to him. I'm over at George, but I don't know. Can't unmute him now.
You offended him.
I must have. George, you there? Can you unmute yourself?
How about now?
Alright, there you go.
Yeah, just moving the axes around, typing in commands into the into the Raspberry Pi here.
Alright, so you got anything to say end tonight?
Not too much. Good night, everybody. Thanks for tuning in.
Nate?
Nope, not much to say. Just see you in 2 weeks.
Alright. Alright, yeah, so, yeah, like I said, there's not many people here tonight, so we're just gonna kind of end it early.
Ooh.
Hopefully next time we'll have more people, we can make this a little more exciting, a little more energetic. And,
Messed up.
we'll see you in 2 weeks. You know, we'll try to get more people here. And, yeah, good night.
Thanks, everybody.
Good night. Good night, all 5 of you.